everyone, Jess here at Aviation Festival Asia, and today I'm joined with Damien Cramer, Global Head of Airlines and Travel at Worldline.
Hello.
Thank you for joining me today.
Pleasure.
Firstly, what payment trends are you seeing in the airline space post-COVID?
So I think there's three things that we see. Two of them more from a consumer perspective and one really from an airline perspective. Firstly, the trend towards shorter booking times. So people, feel still a little bit uneasy, and so they're less willing to plan out a long way compared to what maybe they used to do. So that impacts obviously travel and airlines businesses' cash flow around that. Secondly, and kind of connected to that, is this expected requirement around flexibility,
Yes.
right? So not only am I a little more uncertain about how far I book out, but also when I do book, I want flexibility to change if things change and things go wrong and I need to do things. So that increased expectation. And from the third thing, which is more really about the airlines, is that during COVID, everybody became much more aware of risk. Mm-hmm. There's risk in travel because the payment is get made today for services that are rendered later. And so when you think about that, you've got to be really clear about who's got the risk, how much risk is there out there, and ultimately how do I manage and control that risk. So I think for a lot of airlines in working with us, have become a lot more conscious of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And sticking with the theme of changes post-pandemic, do you think these digital payment adoptions have accelerated since the pandemic?
I think all data points to yes. As Worldline, we, beyond travel and airlines, we do provide payment services to everything from very small businesses right through to large other multinational businesses. And when I think about other multinational businesses or industries like travel, we talk about digital and gaming, we talk about e-retail, we talk about marketplaces, those sort of things. Those businesses obviously expanded really significantly, in particular during the pandemic, because people were at home, they were shopping at home, they were sourcing goods and services digitally more so than they ever did. And so there was obviously a group of people that had adopted digital payment experience, but a much larger group started to adopt more digital payment experience, had a great experience with that payment experience, and now they come back out to a more normal world, if that's what we call it, and they expect that digital payment experience. So most definitely we've seen that. That demand was already there, but I think if you look at the graphs, you would see a more vertical line than you were seeing previously.
Absolutely. I think, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's years that COVID accelerated digital
I think like
adoption,
5 years in one or something like that, depending on what you look at. I know the first time I ever bought something from on a digital game perspective that I thought I'm never going to buy anything for a game or ever before was when I was in COVID and I got obsessed with a golf game that I was playing, and I decided to buy something on this golf game, which seemed to me sounded ridiculous. But anyway, that was my individual adoption.
That was your in. Fantastic. Yeah. So how can airlines keep pace with the digital payments evolution?
Maybe it's as simple as they can't, to be honest. The reality is that particularly if you're a regional airline, if you're beyond a domestic airline, if you're a regional airline Asia Pacific, or indeed you're a global airline, the reality is that the payment solutions and the payment services that customers in a whole lot of different local markets are always changing and evolving. And so you can get very excited about all of these different payment options, whether that's something like Pix in Brazil that's become a mainstream very, very quickly. Or obviously we know about WeChat and Alipay in this part of the world. So you can keep chasing some of those things, and it becomes, you could grind yourself down from the perspective of efficiency. Also to be really conscious that there are payment solutions out there that markets get adopted in particular markets very quickly. I use Paytm as an example in India. And you could look at that notionally and go, wow, Paytm, it's such a well-accepted solution in India. Geez, as a travel business, we make sure that if we want to get to an Indian consumer, we need Paytm. The reality is Paytm doesn't really work for travel because it's such a low ticket size. So be very careful about chasing the wrong payment options, and ultimately, have a good payment orchestration provider, have a good payment partner that can help you connect with those efficiently without really grinding down your business.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been
Pleasure.
really great.
Thanks very much.